I am so excited to introduce our next speaker. She has a background in multimedia storytelling, experiential learning, and talent development, and her work explores the intersections of communication, culture, and education to create lasting opportunities for historically marginalized voices to fulfill their potential. She is an education producer and the founder of Oratory Glory and has just published her first book. It's her first time here in Berlin. She's coming all the way from New York. Please give it up for Holley Kholi-Murchison.
I like that. Good morning. Oh, y'all can do better than that. Good morning. Okay, good. Now I'm in the right room. I'm going to make a request that if you're sitting in the back, you just take a moment to come to the front. This is a family, intimate experience, and I can see you. So I'm actually going to literally wait until you move, and I appreciate it. Thank you. Like Yolanda mentioned, it's my first time in Berlin, so I'm excited to do some exploring. It looks like the sun is coming out today, so that's great. Thank y'all for being cooperative already, as you probably guessed. Pretend you're at a concert because this is going to require some crowd participation over the next 20 minutes together. So if you've read the description, you know that at some point we're going to have some conversation about how to begin to restructure your personal and professional narrative so that you can make more deep connections. But there's a little bit more to it than that. Today's conversation is about legacy. Is that word familiar to anybody? Raise your hand if it is, the word legacy. Okay, cool. So your standard dictionary will give you a variety of definitions, but I like to think about legacy as the impact that your presence, your choices, and your body of work make on the world and the people around you. So do me a favor, make some noise if you give a damn about the legacy you leave behind. Oh, that was sketchy. Let's do it again this time. You're at a concert, okay? It requires some crowd participation. So do me a favor and make some noise if you give a damn about the legacy you leave behind. Okay, I thought you had it in you. All right, that's what I'm talking about. That means I'm in the right place. Because the world of work needs your story now. And when we think about legacy and what shapes it, it begins with our personal narrative. And before you can begin to pitch a new idea in a meeting or rally a team around your vision to revolutionize the music business, it's super important that first, you can clearly articulate and compellingly articulate who you are, why you're here, and why that matters. So as we think about this notion of becoming who you are today, we're going to explore what it requires to unpack the layers of that story so you can knock it out of the park in those conversations. Does that sound good to y'all? Okay, all right, we're getting there. By the end of this, you're going to be doing backflips and cartwheels through here, so it'll be good. That's good that you're ready and that feels good because I have a quick challenge for you. We're going to play a little game called Two Stories. I like the looks on your faces. I like that smile. He's ready for it. You're going to have 90 seconds for this first story. You're going to find a partner. You can go the easy way and find the person who's sitting next to you, or you can get really creative and find someone in the back of the room. In that 90 seconds, you're going to share a story about one of the following things: either your best concert experience, a hilarious childhood moment, or your favorite food memory. Again, you'll have 90 seconds. You're going to share one of these stories within that 90-second time frame. I will time you from here. I'll hold up a 1 when you've got a minute left. I'll hold up a 3 when you've got 30 seconds left, and a non-violent fist to let you know that your time has elapsed. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. Does everybody have a partner? Okay, good. I'm going to let you know when to start. You decide who's going first. It looks like some of you have already decided who's going first. My first storyteller, are you ready? First storyteller's ready, okay. You're going to have, don't start yet. You'll have 90 seconds. I'll tell you when to switch. First storyteller, your time starts now. 1 more minute. Last 30 seconds. And time. Okay. So now you know what 90 seconds feels like. Some of you are like, oh shit, I needed like 3 minutes for that. Some of you are like, I only needed like 30 seconds. Who finished in under 90 seconds? Raise your hand if you did. Okay. Who needed a little bit more time? Okay, it's all right. Chatty folks, it's okay. It's okay. All right, second storyteller, are you ready? Second storyteller, are you alive? Okay, second storyteller, your time starts now. One more minute. Final 30 seconds. And time. All right, so I want to pause you there. And we have some folks who are new to the party. That's awesome. Come in, make yourselves right at home. We got another story coming up. I want you to just take a moment to reflect on what happened, right? When we can recall a story that evokes some kind of emotion, we lean in, there's laughter, you're talking to someone who may be a stranger. You haven't said anything about your work yet, or maybe you have. But if you haven't, have you already made a connection with that person? Yeah, right? You made a connection talking about like concert or food or like how terrible some of your brothers and sisters treated you as a child, right? There's a connection there. And the most successful type of communication is the type that succeeds in evoking an emotion. I want you to carry that with you and the style that you use to tell that first story, because the second story is a little harder and you're gonna have less time. This time you've got 60 seconds and we're gonna talk about your favorite thing. Raise your hand if you love hearing this question at an event. Tell me about yourself. So what do you do? Okay, not a single hand in the air. That means you're in the right session. We're gonna break this down a little bit more. You can find a new person or stick with the same person, but this time in 60 seconds or less, you're gonna share who are you, what are you excited about in this particular season of your career, and why are you attending Most Wanted Music this year? I know you're like, that's a lot to say in 60 seconds. And I know, but imagine how daunting tell me about yourself is when you're like, all of the things? Should I start from like 1983? Like, where do I take that back from, right? So I want you to think about these 3 questions in any order you want to respond to them, and you'll have 60 seconds each. I'll hold up a 3 when you've got 30 seconds left, and again, the nonviolent fist will reemerge to let you know that your time has elapsed. Some of you will knock this out in 15 seconds because you just don't want to talk about it. Some of you are the ones who chat for like 5 minutes when someone asks you to tell them about yourself. Time will tell, but either way, you've only got 60 seconds. Decide who's going first. I love how people just got the handoff. Yeah, gotta think fast. First storyteller, are you ready? All right, your time starts now. Last 30 seconds. Last 30 seconds. And time. And time. You feel how different that round felt in the room? Like I could hear people just like listing things. Like I love cabbage, green is my favorite color. Like I ate Cheerios for breakfast. We get into this like list making mode about ourselves, but we're gonna change that today. Second storyteller, your time starts now. 30 more seconds. Thank you. And time. All right. Okay, all right. You might like the person you're next to. This is good. By a show of hands, how many of you love answering that question? Anytime someone asks, you're at an event, you're at work, they ask what you do, they get it every time you respond. Raise your hand if that's you. Okay. Raise your hand if this question makes you uncomfortable, you fumble a little, you're still figuring out the pieces, and you can boldly raise your hand. It's okay. I want you to look around because you're not alone, right? It's no easy feat. It's a hard question. You're like, it's me, right? But it's the same for me. I've worked in over 20 plus jobs across 5 industries and started 2 businesses of my own in the last 15 years of my career, right? And I used to be terrified by that question because it's really daunting. I thought people might think because I wore so many hats that I lacked direction, I didn't know what I was doing. I have worked doing project management at contracting firms, helping architects and designers and contractors come together to build dream homes for people. I've managed artists back when I had hair, helping independent artists build their careers, traveling around the country with them. I've produced an education concert tour with a team of people traveling around the US to help students get excited about leveraging higher learning to pursue their dreams. I've taught entrepreneurship and leadership at a college in the States. So I've been around the block in terms of career. But one of the most crucial things I learned was that being in all of those positions and acquiring all those skills and being able to apply those things was really a gift, right? Because to be able to contribute at our best, we have to exist fully and freely as all that we are. So the overlaps of all those quirks, those things that you think people might think you're weird for, that uniqueness, the skills that you've been honing across time are the things that make you a one of one, right? They're the things that determine what value you'll add. Because you all know we live in a time or place where we don't have the luxury of subtraction. So if you're not adding, you're subtracting, right? But we do get to decide how useful we are. And because we get to decide that, we have so much to play with when it comes to our stories. So I think a lot about this question of, but how do you articulate this journey of becoming? So the 15 plus years and 20 jobs later led me to starting a communication consultancy called Oratory Glory. And there's where the fusion of my background in talent development and experiential learning and multimedia storytelling come together to create learning experiences, content, and products that help people like you and I better communicate their ideas and their bold vision. So over the last 5 years at Oratory Glory, I've worked with thousands of people across 15 countries, from executives to college students to artists and entrepreneurs. And just like a lot of you who raised your hand a second ago, they too stumbled with that question of, tell me about yourself. So I thought it was something worth exploring because intuitively and through my own experiences, I'm like, there has to be more here. And through my research, I focused in on 3 really staggering numbers, right? There was a study on 400 US and UK corporations. And that study showed that annually, companies that had 100 employees or less lost an average of $420,000 a year because of inadequate communication to and between employees. So I'm like, okay, that probably hurts. What if you have more employees? I'm like, okay, companies that had 100,000 employees or more had an average loss of $62.4 million a year because of communication inadequacies. And that's US dollars. So you bump that up a little bit by the euro, and if you're in the UK, you know how much that hurts by the pound. But when we think about what that really means beyond the monetary, right? Look what's at stake. Companies with leaders who are highly effective communicators have a 47% higher total return to shareholders in comparison. Now, how many of you are freelancers or entrepreneurs, by a show of hands, or artists? All right. How many of you are executives or work within an organization? Okay, we've got a fair mix. So you know if you're an entrepreneur or freelancer, you might not be losing $62.4 million. And if you are making that a year, please come talk to me after, because I have a lot to learn from you, right? But there's something at stake here. And beyond the numbers, right, there's failure of purpose, there's lack of focus, there's a drop in morale. So I started to think a lot about, well, what if there was a framework or a methodology that helped people just in those initial conversations of tell me about yourself? What if they could make deeper connections? What if they could clearly articulate who they were and what they're up to so that that first conversation leads to many more conversations and connections? So I created this method through this 3-year learning and teaching journey. That's a part of my book, Tell Me About Yourself, and it introduces case studies, interviews, and a framework to help you do just that, whether you're a team, a person, a company. And we built an ecosystem around the book that's become a series of learning experiences, a podcast, a community challenge. We've taught the methodology at corporate companies and teams on the philanthropic and marketing side, to large audiences of 500 plus, like at TEDx, to help people network more intentionally together. Within New York City, artists and multidisciplinary creative communities. And most recently, in partnership with WeTransfer, through a digital learning experience that's gone on to reach over 185,000 creatives globally, helping them tell their stories better, to make more meaningful connections through their work. So of course, we don't have the luxury of time where we can go into a full or multi-day story lab around this, but I do want to share one of the steps with you. Does that sound good to y'all? Okay, you're still alive, it's still the morning, this is good. What you see up on the screen are what I like to call 4 spaces of discovery. They're the wells that we mine from when we're telling stories about what we're up to, our purpose, who we are, so we don't fumble that tell me about yourself question. They're your background and interests, your values and beliefs, your passions and aspirations, and your skills and achievements. I could talk you through each one, and I will, but I think it would be a lot more fun with a volunteer who would like to be a live example. So is there anyone who would like to come up and have me walk you through this? You were first, let's do it. I love that. It was like, let me, please. And Akash has a mic for you, so come on up. Oh yeah, you did it. You raised your hand. Hi.
Ekaterina, nice to meet you.
One more time.
Ekaterina.
Ekaterina.
Yes.
Nice to meet you. All right, round of applause for Ekaterina, please. Because some of you were like, I'm not doing it, so I hope a volunteer raises their hand. All right, so we're going to start with your background and interests. No pressure. There's no question yet. Just take a deep breath.
Mic drop.
So your background and interests, I like to think of this as the things that have molded and shaped you. So what are you up to right now in your work?
In my work,
Yeah.
as a journalist, a professional journalist, I'm about to build my blog around the field of music, of sound art, and everything that's related to it, and also what music does to the brain.
Ooh,
Yes.
okay. Come a little closer.
All right.
It'll make you feel better. So here's the question I want you all to factor in, and then we're going to have Ekaterina answer it as well. What inspired you to take on your current position?
Right now,
Yeah.
to be really honest,
Yeah.
the death of my father 1 month ago. And I won the tickets to this event, and it takes a lot of strength to be here and to work on my future, to make it more clear and to make him happy wherever he might be.
Love that. See, it's always, right, it's always deeper than the work, right? This is the importance of stories. And I want to talk more about your dad, but we can talk about it after.
Easy.
This is good. I know.
I see the time running.
I know, you see it. Values and beliefs, right? These are the guiding principles that govern how you show up in the world, right? They show up at work, too. What core values and beliefs do you live by?
By kindness, definitely, and openness, and communication.
Kindness, openness, communication.
Yes.
You sound like a journalist. Okay. Passion and aspirations, right? These are the things that hopefully we're applying our background and interests and our values and beliefs to doing something, to adding some value in the world. So what are some of your passions and aspirations?
Music in all forms. I write songs, I play as a DJ. Just started, but first gig was a festival this year, so.
No big deal. Just started and first big gig was a festival?
Dive
okay.
in there.
Okay. All right, cool. Yeah. And then the last space is your skills and achievements, right? And if you're seeing now there's a connection, your background and interests, your values and beliefs, your passions and aspirations, your skills and achievements. Here's the challenge with this space, and I find this often when I'm traveling out of the US, because in the US people love to talk about their skills and achievements. Raise your hand if it's uncomfortable for you to talk about your skills and achievements, right? Here's the thing. If you went to a restaurant, never been to the restaurant before, and someone was behind the counter like, I don't know how good the food's gonna be, maybe you should try it, but like, would you eat there? Right? So your skills and achievements are the proof that what you value and believe, your background and interests, your passions and aspirations, that you're actually taking action on those things. So it's not about bravado or ego, it's about, can you do the thing that you said you could do? And if so, show me. So what skills and talents do you bring to your relationships, your projects, and your teams?
If I may say so, reliability.
Okay.
Organization skills.
Okay.
And sometimes the cool.
The cool.
The cool, like when everyone goes crazy, I'm like, chill your bass.
What do you tell them?
To chill their bass.
Chill their bass. I like that, okay? Again, so we'll bring it back. Background and interests, values and beliefs, passions and aspirations, skills and achievements. These spaces, and this is just one step in the process, ideally, you can tell a story that overlaps in these spaces. And if you rethink what you told in that 1 minute, if you applied these spaces, it would probably be a little bit different. So if you were to tell me about yourself through these 4 things in 30 seconds or less, and you can see the clock there, what would you say?
I'm happy to be here. Yeah. And oh my God, this is putting me under large pressure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You feel pressure? Do you want to hold my arm? Okay, let's do it.
All right. So I'm a professional journalist, and I came here for a personal reason. And I believe in kindness, openness, and communication, which I think this is the base for to get to know new people and areas of the music technology, everything I am passionate about networking and getting to know people of different, fields. Thank you.
And what are you working on?
And I'm working on improving my writing and founding my own blog.
Okay.
Yeah.
Background and interests, values and beliefs, passions and aspirations, skills and achievements. You can clap a little harder than that for her. Okay. Thank you for letting me put you on the spot. Let's talk some more later.
Very much.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
So that's just one piece of the puzzle. But again, like in just a few seconds, you can begin to start to transform your story by thinking about what are the pieces that you're talking about. And I know we're running low on time, so I just want to leave you with this idea that when you lean into this process, that's where self-actualization happens, the fulfillment of one's potentialities and their gifts, right? But that's also the pathway to communal actualization, because the more you do that, I'm sure there's someone in here who's going to connect with Ekaterina after, and it becomes a domino effect, right? So there's no better time or more urgent time than now to become who you are, to really start to think about the stories that you're telling about who you are, the work you're doing, why you're doing it. Connect with the people around you in this room, because there's so many people here. And then bring that fire back to work to tell the stories that need to be told. There's an exchange happening right now in the back because of this, right? Because that's what the world needs more of. And if at any point you feel uncomfortable through the process, here's an important thing to remember. That one of the most life-changing experiences people can have is to find language that describes a part of themselves that they couldn't express before. And if you feel deeply moved by this and you're as excited as I am about the value that communication skills add to workforce and career development, let's talk some more after this. Send me a text message, and let's keep the conversation going. Yes, I'm serious. Take a picture, send me a note. I would love to connect with you, and I wish you all the best as you continue the journey here at Most Wanted Music and as you continue to build your legacy. Thank you.
Thank you so much. No better time than right now to create the best version of yourself. Wow, that was really inspiring. Thank you. Just a few things. There is a workshop happening at 11:40 in about 40 minutes with you in the restaurant. And we've already had some registrations, but there are a few limited spots available. So make sure to sign up. First come, first serve. Just head on straight through to the restaurant and make sure to join, get more of Holley. And also, yes, I mean, that mindset is everything, so absolutely. And then you also have an Ask Me Anything session happening today at 2 p.m. So anyone who had any questions, make sure to come to that as well. And unfortunately, I'm just going to mention this, unfortunately, we were not able to receive your books here. But people can text you about your books and order them, right?
Correct.
Perfect.
Text me, I'll send you a link to the book. And it'll be at the bookstore when they get shipped.
Okay,
It'll
great.
be here in Germany.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
One more round of applause.